Hello, car fans. Today we're delving into some of the biggest design blunders in American automotive history. Over the years, the U.S. car industry has produced some incredible vehicles, but it's also made some jaw-dropping mistakes. From bizarre styling choices to ill-conceived engineering decisions, these are the moments that left us all asking, what were they thinking? Let's take a look at the top 10 worst design decisions in American car history. The Chevrolet Vega, introduced in 1970, was General Motors' response to the increasing demand for smaller, more fuel-efficient cars, a trend driven by rising fuel costs and shifting consumer preferences. Initially, the Vega appeared to be a promising entry into the compact car market, boasting an innovative design and advanced engineering. However, it quickly became a symbol of everything that could go wrong in automobile manufacturing during that era, marred by a series of catastrophic design and quality control issues. At first glance, the Vega's design seemed sleek and modern, with its lightweight body and clean lines. GM aimed to create a car that was not only economical, but also stylish, appealing to a broad audience. To achieve this, they decided to use a new type of lightweight steel for the body panels. This steel was intended to reduce the car's overall weight and improve fuel efficiency. However, the steel was inadequately protected against rust. The lack of proper rust-proofing meant that the Vega began to show significant signs of corrosion within just a few years of ownership, even in areas not typically prone to rust. The problem was so severe that some owners reported rust forming while the cars were still on dealership lots, a disastrous flaw that severely tarnished the Vega's reputation. Adding to the car's woes was its engine. The Vega was equipped with an all-aluminum inline-4 engine, which was a novel concept at the time. GM had high hopes for this engine, believing that it would offer a good balance of performance and efficiency. However, the engine was plagued with issues from the start. The aluminum block was prone to warping, especially when the engine overheated, which was not an uncommon occurrence due to inadequate cooling system design. The warping led to a host of mechanical problems, including oil leaks and blown head gaskets, which further damaged the engine's reliability. The Vega's engine problems were exacerbated by the car's overall build quality. In an effort to keep costs down and meet production targets, GM reportedly rushed the Vega through its development process. This haste resulted in poor assembly quality, with numerous reports of misaligned body panels, substandard paint jobs, and a generally shoddy finish. The Vega's issues weren't just cosmetic. Mechanical failures were frequent, with owners facing a litany of problems ranging from faulty transmissions to unreliable electrical systems. Despite these issues, the Vega initially sold well, thanks in part to GM's aggressive marketing and the car's competitive pricing. However, as the extent of the car's problems became apparent, sales plummeted, and the Vega quickly gained a reputation as one of the most unreliable cars on the market. By the mid-1970s, the Vega had become a symbol of GM's decline in quality, contributing to the broader perception that American automakers were falling behind their European and Japanese counterparts in terms of reliability and innovation. In retrospect, the Chevrolet Vega stands as a cautionary tale in automotive history. It illustrates the dangers of cutting corners in manufacturing and the long-term damage that can result from prioritizing short-term gains over quality. While the Vega had the potential to be a game-changer in the compact car market, its numerous design flaws and reliability issues ensured that it would be remembered as one of GM's most notorious failures. Oldsmobile's foray into diesel engines in the late 1970s is widely regarded as one of the most disastrous decisions in automotive history, not just for the brand, but for the perception of diesel cars in the American market. As fuel prices soared during the oil crises of the 1970s, automakers scrambled to offer more fuel-efficient options. Diesel engines, known for their superior fuel economy compared to gasoline engines, seemed like an attractive solution. However, Oldsmobile's execution of this idea was deeply flawed, leading to widespread reliability issues that severely damaged the brand's reputation and set back the adoption of diesel engines in the United States for years. The core problem with Oldsmobile's diesel engines was their design. Rather than developing a diesel engine from the ground up, Oldsmobile engineers opted to convert an existing gasoline engine, specifically the Oldsmobile V8, into a diesel engine. This decision was driven by cost-saving measures and the desire to quickly bring a diesel option to market. However, gasoline and diesel engines operate under very different conditions, particularly regarding compression ratios. Diesel engines require much higher compression ratios to ignite the fuel, and gasoline engines, which are not designed to withstand such pressures, need significant modifications to function reliably as diesel engines. Unfortunately, the modifications made by Oldsmobile were insufficient. The diesel engines they produced, most notably the 5.7-liter V8 diesel introduced in 1978, were plagued by a series of catastrophic failures. One of the most common issues was with the head gaskets. The higher compression ratios in the diesel engine caused the head gaskets to fail frequently, leading to loss of compression, oil leaks, and eventually complete engine breakdowns. Additionally, the engine blocks, which were not reinforced to handle the increased stress, often cracked, and the fuel injection systems were prone to malfunction. The problems didn't stop there. The engines were also notorious for poor starting in cold weather, a common issue with early diesel engines that was exacerbated by Oldsmobile's subpar design. Moreover, the diesel fuel available at the time in the United States was often of low quality, which further contributed to the engine's unreliability. Owners of these diesel-powered Oldsmobiles quickly found themselves dealing with frequent and costly repairs, which led to widespread dissatisfaction and a significant number of warranty claims. The backlash against Oldsmobile's diesel engines was swift and severe. Word of the engine's poor reliability spread quickly, and sales plummeted. The bad publicity surrounding the engines not only tarnished Oldsmobile's brand, but also had a broader impact on the perception of diesel cars in the United States. Many consumers, burned by their experience with Oldsmobile's diesels, became wary of diesel engines in general, associating them with poor reliability and high maintenance costs. This negative perception persisted for decades, delaying the acceptance of diesel-powered passenger cars in the American market. Oldsmobile attempted to address these issues by introducing redesigned diesel engines and making improvements to the existing ones. But the damage was already done. The initial failures had so deeply tarnished the brand's reputation that it was difficult to regain consumer trust. By the early 1980s, Oldsmobile's diesel engine program was effectively dead, and the company quietly phased out diesel options in its passenger cars. In hindsight, Oldsmobile's diesel debacle is a textbook example of how poor engineering decisions and a rush to market can have long-lasting consequences. The decision to repurpose a gasoline engine for diesel use without adequate redesign was a critical error that led to one of the most notorious reliability disasters in automotive history. The fallout from this episode not only contributed to the decline of Oldsmobile as a brand, but also cast a long shadow over diesel technology in the United States, one that would take years to overcome. The 1958 to 1960 Lincoln Continental, Mark III, IV, and V, are often remembered as some of the most extravagant and over-the-top cars ever produced by Lincoln. These vehicles epitomize the excesses of American automotive design in the late 1950s, with their enormous size, lavish use of chrome, and grandiose styling. While they were intended to be the ultimate statement of luxury and prestige, their bloated design and sky-high prices led to disappointing sales and a subsequent shift in Lincoln's design philosophy. When the Mark III was introduced in 1958, it was the largest Lincoln ever made, and it was also one of the largest production cars in the world. Measuring over 19 feet long and nearly 7 feet wide, the Mark III was a behemoth on the road, with an imposing presence that was impossible to ignore. The car's design was characterized by sharp angles, massive tail fins, and an abundance of chrome. The front grille was a dominant feature, with a bold, square-jawed look that was meant to convey power and authority. The rear of the car featured the signature Continental spare tire hump integrated into the trunk lid, a design cue that harkened back to earlier Continentals, but was now exaggerated to fit the car's larger proportions. Despite its impressive size and opulent features, the Mark III and its subsequent iterations, the Mark IV and Mark V, struggled to find an audience. One of the main reasons for this was its excessive styling. The cars were often criticized for being too garish, with design elements that seemed more appropriate for a parade float than a luxury automobile. The sheer amount of chrome on the cars, on the bumpers, around the windows, along the sides, gave them a flashy, almost ostentatious appearance that didn't appeal to everyone. In an era where some consumers were beginning to appreciate more restrained and tasteful design, the Lincoln Continentals of this period stood out for all the wrong reasons. The size of these cars also posed practical challenges. With a curb weight of nearly 5,000 pounds, the Continentals were heavy, and their handling reflected this. Despite being equipped with a powerful 430 cubic inch V8 engine that produced 375 horsepower, the cars were not particularly agile, and their massive dimensions made them difficult to maneuver in tight spaces. Parking one of these cars was a challenge, and their fuel consumption was considerable, even by the standards of the day. These practical drawbacks further limited the car's appeal, especially as smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles began to gain popularity. The high price of the Lincoln Continentals also contributed to their poor sales performance. These cars were positioned as top-of-the-line luxury vehicles, with price tags to match. However, many potential buyers were put off by the combination of excessive styling and the cost, especially when there were other luxury options on the market that offered more understated elegance at a similar or lower price. Cadillac, Lincoln's main competitor, was producing vehicles that, while still large and luxurious, were generally perceived as more refined and better balanced in their design. The sales figures reflected the public's lukewarm reception. The 1958 Lincoln Continental Mark III sold poorly, and while Lincoln continued with the Mark IV and Mark V for the next 2 years, sales remained disappointing. The lack of consumer interest forced Lincoln to reconsider its approach. By the early 1960s, it was clear that the direction taken with the Mark III, IV, and V had been a misstep. In response, Lincoln undertook a major redesign, which led to the introduction of the much more successful 1961 Lincoln Continental. The 1961 Continental represented a radical departure from the excesses of its predecessors. Designed under the direction of Elwood Engel, the new Continental was smaller, more streamlined, and much more restrained in its use of chrome and decorative elements. It was an instant success, praised for its clean lines, timeless elegance, and innovation, such as the introduction of rear-hinged suicide doors. The success of the 1961 Continental underscored the shift in consumer preferences away from the overly ornate designs of the late 1950s and towards a more modern, sophisticated aesthetic. In retrospect, the 1958 to 1960 Lincoln Continental Mark III, IV, and V stand as examples of how the automotive industry can sometimes go too far in the pursuit of luxury and prestige. While they remain impressive feats of engineering and design, their excessive styling and impracticality made them ill-suited for the market of their time. Their legacy, however, paved the way for one of the most iconic and influential designs in Lincoln's history, reminding us that sometimes less is more. The Mustang II, introduced in 1974, marked a significant departure from the original Ford Mustang, which had become an icon of American muscle and performance since its debut in 1964 and 1964. The decision to downsize the Mustang was largely driven by the 1973 oil crisis, which had sent fuel prices soaring and forced automakers to rethink their approach to car design. Consumers were increasingly demanding smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles, and Ford responded by reinventing the Mustang to align with this new reality. However, while the Mustang II may have been a practical solution to the challenges of the time, it left many enthusiasts feeling disappointed and disillusioned. The original Mustang had been a groundbreaking success, capturing the imagination of the American public with its sporty design, powerful engines, and affordable price tag. It was the car that defined the pony car segment, offering performance and style in a compact, accessible package. By the early 1970s, however, the automotive landscape was changing. The 1973 oil crisis brought with it an era of economic uncertainty and a sharp increase in fuel costs, leading consumers to prioritize fuel efficiency over horsepower. In this context, Ford made the difficult decision to downsize the Mustang in an effort to make it more fuel efficient and competitive in a market increasingly dominated by smaller cars. The Mustang II was the result of this downsizing effort. Launched in 1974, it was significantly smaller and lighter than its predecessor. designed to be more economical and practical for everyday driving. The car was based on the platform of the Ford Pinto, a subcompact car that was itself a product of the post-oil crisis era. This connection to the Pinto was one of the first things that drew criticism. The Pinto, while popular, was not known for its performance or style, and many Mustang fans were disappointed to see their beloved muscle car sharing so much DNA with a vehicle that was seen as more utilitarian than exciting. In terms of design, the Mustang II was a far cry from the aggressive, fastback styling of the earlier models. Its smaller size, along with its more conservative lines, made it look less like a muscle car and more like a compact commuter vehicle. The sharp, chiseled features that had defined the original Mustang were replaced with softer, more rounded edges, and the car's overall stance was less imposing. While the Mustang II did retain some of the signature design elements of the Mustang, such as the galloping horse emblem and the tri-bar taillights, the overall effect was less dramatic and less inspiring. The performance of the Mustang II was another point of contention. The downsizing process meant that the powerful V8 engines that had been a hallmark of the Mustang were either significantly detuned or replaced altogether. The base engine in the Mustang II was a modest 2.3-liter inline-4, which produced a mere 88 horsepower, far from the muscle-bound engines that had powered previous Mustangs. Even the optional V6 and V8 engines, while offering more power, were still relatively underwhelming by the standards of the time. The result was a car that felt sluggish and underpowered, especially compared to the high-performance Mustangs of the 1960s. For many Mustang enthusiasts, the Mustang II was seen as a betrayal of the car's heritage. The original Mustang had been a symbol of American automotive ingenuity and the freedom of the open road, while the Mustang II felt like a compromise, practical perhaps, but lacking the excitement and passion that had made the Mustang a legend. The car's handling and driving dynamics, while adequate, did not offer the same thrills that previous models had, and its association with the Pinto only served to further dampen its image. Despite these criticisms, it's important to note that the Mustang II was not without its merits. From a commercial standpoint, it was actually a success. The car was well received by a broader audience that appreciated its fuel efficiency and affordability, and it sold well during its production run from 1974 to 1978. The Mustang II also played a crucial role in keeping the Mustang brand alive during a period of economic turbulence, ensuring that Ford could continue to produce Mustangs into the future. Moreover, the Mustang II was a reflection of its time. The early 1970s were a period of transition for the American automotive industry, with manufacturers grappling with new regulatory standards, rising fuel costs, and changing consumer preferences. The Mustang II was Ford's attempt to adapt to these new realities, and while it may not have captured the hearts of muscle car purists, it represented a necessary evolution in the Mustang's long and storied history. The Pontiac Aztec, introduced in 2000, has become synonymous with automotive design gone wrong. Its reputation as one of the ugliest cars ever made is well-deserved, and the reasons for its failure are as much about aesthetics as they are about the circumstances surrounding its development. When Pontiac first conceived the Aztec, the intention was to create a vehicle that broke new ground in terms of practicality and versatility. The Aztec was meant to appeal to younger, adventurous buyers who needed a vehicle that could handle a variety of activities, from road trips to camping excursions. In many ways, the Aztec was ahead of its time, with features that are now common in crossover SUVs, such as a versatile interior, available all-wheel drive, and a host of accessories designed for outdoor use. However, it was the design of the Aztec that ultimately overshadowed its innovative features. The vehicle's appearance was the result of a design process that prioritized functionality over form, and the end product was a car that many found difficult to look at. The Aztec's angular, chunky exterior was a jarring departure from the sleek, aerodynamic designs that were popular at the time. Its sloped rear end, with its awkwardly placed rear window and tailgate, gave the car an unbalanced, top-heavy look. The front of the Aztec was equally controversial, with a split-grille design that many thought looked more like a utility vehicle than a car meant for everyday driving. One of the main reasons for the Aztec's unfortunate design was the decision-making process at General Motors, GM. At the time, GM was using a method known as design by committee, where decisions were made by a group of executives rather than a single visionary designer. This approach led to compromises and alterations that diluted the original design concept. As a result, the Aztec ended up with a mishmash of ideas that didn't come together cohesively. The Aztec's interior, while innovative, also contributed to its downfall. Although it was spacious and offered a range of practical features, such as removable seats, a built-in cooler, and even a tent accessory for camping, the interior materials were often criticized for being cheap and uninspiring. The dashboard was cluttered with buttons, and the overall layout lacked the refinement that buyers expected from a vehicle in its price range. Pontiac's attempt to market the Aztec as a lifestyle vehicle also fell flat. The advertising campaign, which tried to position the Aztec as a cool, hip choice for young, active consumers, didn't resonate with the target audience. Instead of being seen as an adventurous, multi-purpose vehicle, the Aztec was viewed as an oddity that didn't fit neatly into any category. Its high price tag, coupled with its unconventional looks, made it a tough sell in a competitive market. Sales of the Aztec were dismal, and it quickly became clear that the vehicle was not going to be the success that Pontiac had hoped for. The Aztec's production run lasted only until 2005, and in that time, it became a symbol of the decline of the Pontiac brand, which itself was discontinued by GM in 2010. Despite its commercial failure, the Pontiac Aztec has achieved a kind of cult status in the years since it was discontinued. It gained unexpected fame as the car driven by the character Walter White in the television series Breaking Bad, where its downtrodden appearance served as a visual metaphor for the character's struggles. This pop culture connection has given the Aztec a second life as a quirky, if still ugly, icon. In hindsight, the Aztec's failure can be seen as a lesson in the importance of balancing form and function in automotive design. While it was a practical vehicle with some forward-thinking features, its appearance was so off-putting that it overshadowed any of its positive attributes. The Aztec's legacy as one of the ugliest cars ever made is a testament to the idea that no matter how functional a vehicle may be, it still needs to look good to succeed in the marketplace. During the 1970s, Chrysler, like many American automakers, embraced vinyl roofs as a popular design trend, seeing them as a way to add a touch of luxury and sophistication to their vehicles. At the time, the vinyl roof was seen as a fashionable and upscale option, giving the appearance of a convertible top without the associated costs and complexities. This design choice was particularly appealing in an era when automotive style was as much about appearance as it was about performance. Chrysler applied vinyl roofs to a wide array of its models, from economy cars to luxury sedans, and even on some muscle cars. The intention was to give these vehicles a distinctive look that set them apart from competitors. The vinyl roof became almost synonymous with American cars of the 1970s, often paired with bold color schemes and elaborate trim packages. However, as stylish as these vinyl roofs appeared when new, they soon proved to be a significant design flaw, particularly as the cars aged. One of the primary issues was the material itself. Vinyl, while durable in the short term, was not particularly resilient in the long run, especially when exposed to the elements. Over time, the vinyl would often crack, fade, or peel due to sun exposure, temperature fluctuations, and general wear and tear. This deterioration wasn't just a cosmetic issue. It had more serious consequences for the car's longevity. The real problem lay beneath the vinyl. The material's ability to trap moisture was a major concern, particularly in climates with high humidity or frequent rain. Water could seep underneath the vinyl, becoming trapped between the roof and the underlying metal surface. Once moisture was trapped, it had little opportunity to escape, creating an ideal environment for rust to develop. This rust would often start in areas that were difficult to see, such as the edges of the roof or around the trim. And by the time it became visible, the damage was usually extensive. The rust not only compromised the structural integrity of the roof, but could also spread to other parts of the car. In severe cases, the rust could penetrate through the metal, leading to leaks and further deterioration of the vehicle's body. This issue was exacerbated by the fact that many owners were unaware of the problem until it was too late, as the vinyl cover masked the underlying corrosion. Chrysler was not alone in this trend. Other automakers also adopted vinyl roofs during the 1970s. However, Chrysler's widespread use of this design feature across its lineup meant that a significant number of its vehicles were affected. What was initially seen as a stylish and desirable feature became a long-term liability for car owners. As these cars aged, the vinyl roof's propensity to cause rust became a well-known issue, leading to a decline in their resale value and, in many cases, to the cars being scrapped prematurely. In hindsight, the vinyl roof craze of the 1970s is seen as a design misstep, a trend that prioritized short-term aesthetics over long-term durability. While the roofs may have added a touch of flair to Chrysler's vehicles, they ultimately contributed to the rapid deterioration of many of these cars. Today, when restoring vehicles from this era, enthusiasts often face significant challenges due to the rust caused by these vinyl roofs. It's a stark reminder that what may be stylish in one era can become a source of regret in the next, especially when it comes to materials that don't stand the test of time. Chrysler's overuse of vinyl roofs is now often cited as a cautionary tale in automotive design, illustrating the importance of considering the long-term implications of design choices. While the trend has long since passed, its impact on the cars of the 1970s continues to be felt by collectors and restorers today. The Chevrolet Corvair was introduced in 1960 as an ambitious attempt by General Motors to challenge the dominance of European imports in the American market. The Corvair featured a rear-engine layout, a significant departure from the front-engine configuration that was standard in American cars of the era. This design choice was intended to offer a fresh alternative to American consumers and provide improved traction and handling in a sleek, modern package. The Corvair's rear-engine configuration was a bold move, drawing inspiration from European vehicles like the Volkswagen Beetle, which had successfully utilized a rear-engine setup. The design aimed to deliver a unique driving experience, with the engine mounted over the rear axle to enhance traction, particularly in slippery conditions. The car's overall design was stylish and forward-thinking, with its rounded body and distinctive lines setting it apart from other cars on the market. However, the Corvair's innovative design was marred by significant flaws, primarily related to its handling and suspension system. The car's rear-engine layout, combined with its swing axle suspension, introduced a set of handling issues that would become the core of its problems. The swing axle suspension, which was a common feature in rear-engine vehicles of the time, was notorious for causing severe oversteer. Oversteer occurs when the rear of the vehicle swings out during sharp turns, leading to a loss of control. This issue was exacerbated by the car's rear-heavy weight distribution, which further compromised stability and handling. The handling problems of the Corvair were not immediately apparent to all drivers, but they became more pronounced under certain driving conditions. The car's tendency to oversteer and its instability during sharp maneuvers led to concerns about its safety. The situation was compounded by the car's high center of gravity and the way its weight distribution affected its behavior on the road. The Corvair's safety issues were brought to national attention by Ralph Nader's influential book, Unsafe at Any Speed, published in 1965. In his book, Nader criticized the American automotive industry for prioritizing style and cost over safety. The Corvair was prominently featured as a prime example of these shortcomings. Nader's detailed examination of the car's design flaws highlighted its dangerous handling characteristics and its tendency to roll over in emergency situations. The book's exposure led to a significant public outcry and increased scrutiny of automotive safety standards. In response to the criticism and the public pressure that followed, Chevrolet undertook a redesign of the Corvair's suspension system. For the 1965 model year, the company introduced a new rear suspension design that aimed to address the handling issues identified by Nader and other critics. The redesigned suspension improved the car's stability and reduced its tendency to oversteer, making the vehicle safer and more controllable. Despite these efforts to rectify the problems, the Corvair's reputation had already suffered irreparable damage. The negative publicity surrounding the car, coupled with the broader concerns about automotive safety raised by Nader's book, led to a decline in consumer confidence. Sales of the Corvair plummeted, and the car's once promising future was overshadowed by its troubled legacy. the Chevrolet Corvair was eventually discontinued in 1969, marking the end of its production run. While the redesigns and improvements made in the later years addressed many of the initial handling issues, the car's reputation was permanently tainted by its early safety concerns. The Corvair remains a significant case study in the history of automotive design, illustrating the challenges and consequences of introducing innovative concepts without fully addressing their potential risks. In retrospect, the Corvair's story highlights the importance of thorough testing and safety considerations in automotive design. The car's ambitious rear-engine layout and distinctive design were ahead of their time, but the handling problems and safety issues ultimately overshadowed its innovations. The Corvair serves as a reminder of the complexities involved in pushing the boundaries of conventional vehicle design and the critical role of safety in ensuring the success and acceptance of new automotive technologies. Cadillac, a brand long synonymous with opulence and sophistication, encountered a significant challenge with the introduction of the Cimarron in the early 1980s. The Cimarron was Cadillac's ambitious attempt to penetrate the compact luxury car market, but the execution of this plan was fraught with missteps and ultimately proved to be a major miscalculation. The Cimarron was conceived in the wake of rising demand for smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles. A shift driven by the oil crises of the 1970s and the increasing influence of European compact cars. In response, Cadillac aimed to create a luxury compact car that would attract buyers looking for a more affordable entry point into the Cadillac brand. However, instead of designing a bespoke vehicle tailored to this new market segment, Cadillac chose a path of badge engineering, a strategy that involved modifying an existing vehicle to give it the appearance of a luxury product. The chosen donor vehicle for this experiment was the Chevrolet Cavalier, a compact car known for its practicality and affordability, but not for its luxury or refinement. Cadillac's approach involved rebranding the Cavalier as the Cimarron and applying a veneer of luxury features to it. The exterior received a Cadillac-inspired makeover, including a distinctive grille and badge, while the interior was fitted with upgraded materials, trim, and additional features intended to mimic the luxury experience. Despite these modifications, the Cimarron's fundamental issues stem from its origins as a budget-friendly compact car. The Cimarron retained the Cavalier's basic architecture, including its engine options, suspension, and overall performance characteristics. This meant that the Cimarron suffered from the same limitations as its donor vehicle, a relatively underpowered engine, uninspiring handling, and a driving experience that fell short of Cadillac's established standards of performance and luxury. The attempt to position the Cimarron as a luxury compact car was further undermined by its pricing strategy. The Cimarron was priced higher than the Cavalier, reflecting the added costs of luxury touches and the Cadillac badge. However, the incremental luxury features did not sufficiently enhance the vehicle's perceived value compared to its competitors. Buyers were left questioning whether the Cimarron offered enough additional luxury to justify the higher cost, especially when compared to other luxury vehicles that were designed from the ground up to deliver a premium experience. The public and critical reception of the Cimarron was largely negative. Many consumers felt that the car failed to meet their expectations for a Cadillac. The mismatch between the vehicle's performance and its luxury branding led to dissatisfaction and disappointment. Critics and customers alike viewed the Cimarron as an example of badge engineering gone awry, where the attempt to repackage a lower-end vehicle as a luxury product resulted in a lack of authenticity and credibility. The ramifications of the Cimarron's failure extended beyond its own shortcomings. The car's poor reception contributed to a broader perception that Cadillac was struggling to adapt to the changing automotive landscape and losing touch with its core values of luxury and innovation. This impact on Cadillac's brand image was significant, as it challenged the company's reputation for delivering genuine luxury and quality. In retrospect, the Cadillac Cimarron serves as a notable case study in automotive marketing and branding. It underscores the importance of aligning brand promises with product realities and highlights the risks associated with relying on badge engineering as a solution to market demands. The Cimarron's legacy is a reminder of the need for authenticity and excellence in delivering luxury, as well as the potential consequences of failing to meet those standards. The AMC Pacer, introduced in the mid-1970s, was designed to be a groundbreaking compact car that promised to offer a new level of interior space and visibility. The vision behind the Pacer was to create a car that combined the convenience of a compact vehicle with the spaciousness and comfort typically found in larger cars. However, despite its innovative intentions, the Pacer ended up becoming one of the most iconic design missteps of its era. The Pacer's design was characterized by several distinctive features that set it apart from its competitors. One of the most notable aspects was its unusual width. At several inches wider than most other compact cars of the time, the Pacer aimed to provide an exceptionally roomy interior. This wider stance was intended to enhance passenger comfort and create a sense of spaciousness inside the vehicle. However, the broader dimensions contributed to a rather awkward and ungainly appearance. The car's proportions seemed out of sync with its overall design, leading to a visual imbalance that many found unappealing. Another key feature of the Pacer was its large, rounded windows, which earned it the nickname Fishbowl. The extensive glass area was designed to improve visibility and create an open, airy feeling inside the cabin. While this design choice did achieve its goal of enhancing sightlines, it also accentuated the Pacer's unconventional look. The massive windows, combined with the car's wide stance and rounded body, gave the Pacer an appearance that many found peculiar and unattractive. The Pacer's overall shape was further characterized by its bubble-like design. The rounded roofline and bulging sides created a distinct silhouette that was meant to convey modernity and innovation. Unfortunately, this bold styling choice was met with mixed reactions. The car's design was polarizing, with some viewing it as a creative departure from traditional automotive aesthetics, while others saw it as an overreach that compromised both form and function. In addition to its striking appearance, the Pacer faced practical challenges. Despite its wide body, the car's interior space was not as generously accommodating as its design suggested. The car's unconventional dimensions also posed issues in terms of aerodynamics and handling. The wide stance, while intended to improve stability, did not necessarily translate into enhanced driving dynamics. The Pacer's performance and handling were often described as lackluster, further diminishing its appeal. The Pacer's commercial success was ultimately limited by its design and performance shortcomings. While it garnered some attention for its innovative features and distinctive look, it failed to resonate with a broad audience. The car's unconventional appearance and performance issues contributed to its relatively short production run. Despite being a product of its time with an ambitious vision, the Pacer's design choices and execution left it as a notable example of a well-intentioned automotive experiment that did not fully achieve its goals. In retrospect, the AMC Pacer remains a fascinating case study in automotive design. It exemplifies the challenges of balancing innovation with practicality and highlights the complexities of creating a vehicle that stands out while still meeting consumer expectations. The Pacer's legacy endures as a reminder of the risks associated with pushing design boundaries and the importance of ensuring that bold styling choices align with functional and market considerations. We have to start with one of the most notorious design flaws in automotive history: the Ford Pinto's rear-mounted fuel tank. The Ford Pinto, introduced in the early 1970s as a compact, affordable car, became infamous not for its intended practicality, but for a critical and deadly design flaw that would overshadow its legacy. The Pinto's fuel tank was positioned dangerously close to the rear bumper, a decision made during the car's development to maximize interior space and minimize production costs. However, this seemingly minor design choice had catastrophic consequences. The proximity of the fuel tank to the rear bumper made it highly susceptible to damage in the event of a rear-end collision. Even in relatively low-speed crashes, the impact could cause the tank to rupture. The situation was exacerbated by the fact that sharp bolts and components in the rear of the car could puncture the fuel tank, leading to gasoline leaks. In the worst-case scenarios, the leaked fuel could ignite, turning a minor accident into a deadly inferno. What makes the Ford Pinto's story even more tragic is that Ford was aware of the problem before the car was released to the public. Internal documents revealed that Ford engineers identified the fuel tank's vulnerability during pre-production testing. They calculated that the cost of fixing the issue by reinforcing the fuel tank or adding a protective barrier would be about $11 per car. However, Ford executives made the decision not to implement these safety measures. Instead, they conducted a cost-benefit analysis, comparing the cost of potential lawsuits from burn victims and fatalities against the cost of the fix. The chilling conclusion was that it would be cheaper to settle lawsuits than to recall the cars and make the necessary safety improvements. The decision not to address the fuel tank issue led to a series of tragic accidents. Numerous Ford Pinto drivers and passengers were killed or severely burned in rear-end collisions that caused the car to burst into flames. As these incidents became more widely known, public outrage grew, and the Pinto's reputation was irreparably damaged. The Pinto's fuel tank flaw became the centerpiece of a landmark legal case and a symbol of corporate negligence. The case of Grimshaw versus Ford Motor Company in 1978 was particularly significant. A California jury awarded $125 million in punitive damages to the victim, later reduced to $3.5 million, in a case that exposed Ford's decision-making process and the company's prioritization of profits over safety. The lawsuit brought to light the now infamous Pinto memo, which detailed Ford's cost-benefit analysis and became a key piece of evidence against the company. The Pinto scandal also had far-reaching consequences beyond the immediate legal and financial repercussions for Ford. It led to a significant shift in how safety was prioritized in the automotive industry. The scandal became a catalyst for the introduction of stricter federal safety regulations and oversight. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, increased its scrutiny of vehicle designs, leading to more rigorous crash testing standards and greater accountability for automakers. In the end, the Pinto's legacy is one of a cautionary tale. The car itself was intended to be a practical, affordable vehicle for the masses, but its tragic flaw and the corporate decisions surrounding it turned the Pinto into a symbol of what can go wrong when cost-cutting and profit margins are prioritized over human lives. The scandal not only damaged Ford's reputation, but also served as a sobering reminder to the entire automotive industry of the ethical responsibilities involved in vehicle design and manufacturing. The Ford Pinto remains a stark example of how a single design flaw can have devastating consequences when safety is compromised in the name of cost savings. And there you have it, 10 of the worst design decisions in American car history. These mistakes serve as a reminder that even the biggest automakers can get it wrong sometimes. Which one do you think was the biggest blunder? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into automotive history.